Hello everyone, I'm Adam Papagan. Welcome to another episode of There's a Place, the ASMR talk show, the show that feels good to hear. I don't know about you guys, but I hate having to feed myself. There's just too many types of cuisines and options. If somebody is like, you're going over to their house, and like, this is what's for dinner, okay, great, I'll eat it, I'll like it. But when I'm just like hanging out, I'm not gonna just cook for one person for one meal. So I gotta get food for myself, and I'm always just trying to, what's quick, what's a good value, and it always just boils down to fast food. I eat a ton of fast food, and I think it's fun to eat fast food, and it's a little different, but it's always the same. But when you eat a lot of fast food, you gotta change it up. You can't just go to Del Taco every day. So I thought, today, just this afternoon, I'm gonna go to Rally's. Now, if you're living on the East Coast, Rally's is called Checkers over there. It's the same restaurant, double drive-through. Rally's, Checkers on the East Coast, Rally's on the West Coast. So I'm like, I'm gonna try Rally's. I'm not really familiar with it, but let me give it a shot. So I go up, and it's one of these restaurants where there's just the walk-up window and then the drive-through. And I go to the pulling up to the walk-up window, and I see these kind of like gangster-looking guys outside of the Rally's. But they weren't like actually scary gangsters. They looked like gangsters from a movie, from like Straight Outta Compton or something. Like movie, like not like real actually sketchy gangsters, but I thought that's kind of weird. So I decided not to go up and do the walk-up window. It was a little cold. I was just gonna do the drive-through. So I do the drive-through, get my food, pull through, and I see these gangster guys again. And who is it but the rapper and actor Ice-T hanging out with his boys. And at this point, I wanted to kind of pull over, see what they were going to do. I didn't make a scene or anything, but I pulled over to eat my food, and they got their food. They said hello to some people, and then they got in a blacked-out SUV. I think it was a Suburban or something like that. Obviously a hired car, had the TCP number on it, and they drove away. So the walk-up window was good enough for Ice-T, not good enough for me. And the whole time I was running through my head, I was like, would I have talked to him if I had seen him? I don't normally bother celebrities, but seeing Ice-T at Rally's, I kind of wanted to talk to him. I would have just said to him, what are you doing at Rally's, Ice-T? But I'll never know the answer to that question. And what I learned from this experience was that it's always better to go into the restaurant. Don't isolate yourself. Don't sit in the car, because you never know who you might meet. Opportunities are given to you by other people. So, who knows? Ice-T could have been sitting right here next to me tonight had I played my cards right. But he's not. We instead have a dear friend of the show as our guest tonight, making his third appearance. I believe it's the most of any guest. We're always happy to have him. You know him, you love him, you're fascinated by him. Please welcome Atelston Fitzgerald Holder the first. Wow, where is he? He's disappeared. Atelston. Where is he? I hope nothing happened to him out here in the cold. He might be checking his phone or something. I don't know. As I said, please welcome my guest tonight, Atelston Fitzgerald Holder the first. What's up, Atelston? Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Was my microphone working?
I think it's working fine. It's the kind of thing where we just have to start using it, and then we know.
Testing 1, 2. Testing.
Well, we could test it by actually using it and speaking.
Yeah.
So, Atelston, how was your Christmas?
Magnificent, splendid, superb, ecstatic. I'm flabbergasted to be here. Thank you.
What'd you do?
Nothing whatsoever.
And that's why it was fantastic?
Yeah, get to solitude, serenity, peace.
Can you not do that every other day of the year?
Yeah, but Christmas time is the best time.
for solitude.
Yeah, because everyone's busy, so you get the contrast of the human experience.
So what did you do to get solitude?
Just hike, meditate, casual walk, do a lot of putting thoughts and idea into perspective, self-reflection.
Okay, this is a good time of year for that.
And this is my fourth time or third time on the show? Well, technically fourth time on Drumebox. Well, thank you to the co-founder, Mr. Nolan
Silverstein,
my apology.
Yeah.
Also Adam for booking me again for the time. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, of course. Well,
thank
you're
you for
very
having
persistent.
Me. Huh?
You're very persistent. I knew that we had a cancellation last minute, and before I'd even finished asking you, you had agreed to be on the show.
Absolutely.
So you're a dependable guest.
Thank you.
I admire that about you.
Pull my pink, beautiful color
What
out.
is it about this program that you like so much, appearing on Drumebox and things like that?
Your particular show, or There's a Place, or Drumebox as a whole?
There's a place. We'll keep it local.
Drumebox is sort of this platform that kind of embodies entertainers' deep-seated imagination. Whatever you can encapsulate or explicate in your mind, Drumebox sort of facilitate that. I mean, I walked in here to do my 1-hour lecture on mental disorder, or neurotypical misconception of everyone who falls outside the neurotypical spectrum. And I assumed I would have to work with a green screen. When I walked in, I had a TED Talk platform. So Nolan facilitated that. So this place is sort of ambiguous. It's nothing, but it's everything. It sort of becomes whatever is required at that point at the moment. So yeah, Drumebox is absolutely my favorite place to kind of elaborate what's ever on my mind at that given point. So Drumebox is the place, absolutely, no exceptions.
What is it about Drumebox? Because you did videos on YouTube and stuff. You got a camera phone, obviously. You could just take it straight to the people. But why, is there something about coming to a physical building that kind of helps you think or get new perspectives?
Drumebox?
Yeah.
I think it's the environment, it's the ambience, it's a sort of aura. It kind of solidifies whatever you're trying to put into perspective at this spur of the moment. And then they have the equipment, they have the platform, they have the cameras, they have the audio. I mean, it's the one-stop shop for any sort of artistic development you're trying to materialize. Drumebox facilitates that. Drumebox is sort of like the Peter Pan of Neverland. It's sort of the Alice in Drumebox is that white rabbit Alice saw, and she ended down deep into the precipice of Wonderland. It really takes you. It takes your imagination as far as you want to go. And it extends it.
Yeah.
Right. It's absurd, it's surreal, and I think the co-producer, co-founder, Nolan, was it Silverstein? Yeah, does an extraordinary job by sort of this juxtaposition of incongruity, where they sort of merge all these incompatibilities and creates a sort of surrealistic kind of experience.
You got to have that balance.
Yeah, and imbalance. And what is intriguing is that Drumebox kind of not just facilitates neurotypical or just any sort of any eccentricity, any sort of creativity outside the realm of normalism. Or it kind of it's a home. It's a home for eccentricity. So you could be as absurd, as surreal, epic as you choose. Drumebox facilitates that platform. This is over advertisement for Drumebox, but so yeah, that's why I find this to be a remarkable platform. I look forward to coming here, not just your show, just to be part of. Drumebox is this. It's an ambiguous place. It's unpredictable. You can't really predict what you're going to see next. You may see some deep-seated lecture on quantum electrodynamics. Next day, it's some guy, some surrealistic painting, or a guy with a unicorn hat with a music video. So it's a sort of paradigm shift in visual entertainment.
We need that.
Yeah, it could go in any direction. That's why you could walk into Drumebox and watch your ideas germinate to fruition. Just watch it materialize. I think the co-founders does a great job by kind of synergizing what you have intrinsically and sort of manifesting that externally, bringing that to life. It brings your imagination. Drum box brings a creative person's imagination to life. And it does it in a sort of raw, organic way. Not in an over-professional, it's not in a professional, over-commercialized way. Because when something is over-professional, over-commercialized,
Yeah, absolutely.
there's a high level of inauthenticity to it, right? So it's sort of natural, it's raw, it's organic, and it's also professional, but it's to a level where it kind of relates to the average person, right? And I kind of find that intriguing.
On your program that you did here, you were talking a lot about psychics and how
Psychics or physics? You mean the lecture or the last episode I did with you?
I think there was some overlap on both, but specifically was something about, when you talk, there's a lot of information there.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm trying not to be that condensed or concentrated yet.
Oh no, but it's interesting that people who have psychic ability to see the future, the past, it's because they live outside of the norm, or what is, clarify that, please.
Oh, well, first we need to sort of contextualize what are these sort of cognitive advantages. One is precognition, premonition, clairvoyance, retrocognition. There's multiple, but we'll cover just these 4 areas because they're far more pervasive amongst certain type of mental disorders, primarily bipolar, specifically manic and hypomania. Precognition is a sort of foreknowledge. Premonition is the sort of forewarning. Clairvoyance is psychic ability, and retrocognition is the ability to perceive the past. During mania, there's a heightened sense of awareness, and our perceived perception, our perceived division of the subconscious and the conscious is sort of, that disparity sort of becomes blurry. Right, during mania, that sort of become effaced. So there's no longer a barrier between the subconscious and the conscious. And this is more like a metaphysical and epistemological experience they go through during mania. So when they have that sort of cognitive mixing, what occurs is stuff like precognition becomes far more prevalent during that case because the sense of awareness is heightened. Because you're dealing with stuff like impulsivity, disinhibition, grandiosity, and pathological compulsion. Now, whether they are capable of foreknowledge or forewarning or to see the future is sort of up for a debate. But that heightened sense of awareness allows them to have this sense of experience.
So the phenomenon that's perceived, like this person has supernatural powers or whatever, it comes from a real physiological basis, things that are actually happening.
Yeah, I think one of the problems is the media's misconceptions of parapsychological phenomenon. They have a sort of linear interpretation of parapsychological experiences. One like psychokinesis and telekinesis, which is synonymous, which is the ability to move objects. A media's depiction of psychokinesis and telekinesis is from a linear perspective, where an individual from a source extends his hand and the objects just transfers in its right. It's
force.
Linear. It's not non-linear. No, we see that sort of stuff occur in reality in terms of when a person is capable of manifesting things that they truly desire. So it's the same psychokinesis, but it's the same telekinesis, but from a non-linear perspective. Telepathy is also a real, actual phenomenon, but it's sort of non-linear and unorthodox, and not in the linear's media depiction. And you can read minds from a physiological, from kinesiology by the analyzing of a person's body motion, facial gesture. So there's a number of different practical and theoretical and inferential methods you can implement in terms of reading minds. And it's really not that big of a phenomenon. It's actual practical stuff.
But, like, could somebody, if they were, tuned into all this stuff, could they, like, do, like, a mind meld thing, like, and actually read your thoughts?
I think we all do, but most of us are just oblivious to the notion. Like, you'll walk into a room and you'll sense a person's mood, a person's state of mind. You'll feel a sense of discomfort.
Yeah.
Some have experienced a heightened sense of fear in the presence of individuals like sociopaths and psychopaths. So we are all, it's just the problem here is a shift of awareness, becoming aware of what you're actually doing on a day-to-day basis, but you are completely jaded and oblivious to. So these things are not that far-fetched and X-Men as we look at it. We have to look at it from a sort of shifted perspective.
So if like a psychic, as the media would portray it, she's got her crystal ball and the turban and stuff. She might not have all of the powers that the media will portray, but there are people like that who dress like that and are into that stuff. And there are people who are aware of things and experience some level of this phenomenon that serves as kind of like a seed for these kind of fantasies to grow.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, when it comes
it's all real, right? Ghosts are real.
Yeah, I have barriers. I stay within the parameters of things that I can articulate and understand. When you get into areas like psychics, it's kind of outside my area. So I'm sort of indifferent when it comes to psychic and whether or they are capable or incapable.
That's not really an issue for you. It's more the phenomenon is what's interesting.
No, my interest more here is my infatuation because I'm high functioning autism. So me having a vested interest in certain types of mental disorder allowed me to have a more deeper understanding of myself. Like one of my biggest infatuation at one time was, what is love? And I came to the conclusion that love is a mirrored manifestation or a reflection of our deepest desire. This is sort of paradoxical because how could one be in love with themselves? But when you study the individuals that you were infatuated with, there's certain aspect of their characteristics that is ingrained deep within our own psyche, whether it is suppressed or not suppressed. So studying individuals who fall outside the neurotypical spectrum allows you to understand phenomena, certain aspect of human phenomena. Like one of my favorite philosophies is epistemology, which is the study of existence and authenticity and all that stuff, and certain ideas of solipsism. And during mania, they go into these phases, a sort of authenticity, whereas existence precedes essence. The whole idea of reality being a projection or some sort of mirror reflection of something that's internal. So these are the areas I find intriguing because these things are self-referential and it's empirical. It's also theoretical, it's also inferential, and it's also anecdotal. It could be true or false. Because when you get into stuff like apophenia, pareidolia, hallucination, delusion, psychosis, schizophrenia, you end up in an area where you can't really determine if these experiences are just subjective or it is objective, and these patterns are only detectable to people who are impaired and initiated with some sort of esoteric obscure knowledge. So this is real stuff I find intriguing. Right.
Oh yeah, it's infinitely intriguing
because
you can't really ever know the answer.
Yeah, but my objective is not answer. My objective is sort of unraveling and learning more.
But when you unravel it, you can't ever get to a center. It's a
Right.
Mobius strip of interest.
Right. I mean, you crack the atom open. You crack the atom open. You find photons and neutrons bind together to form a nucleus. Spiraling miles away is the electron. You dig into the subatomic particles. You find quarks. I mean, it's a never-ending process. But the joy is not the resolution or solving a problem. The joy is unraveling the mystery and seeing how deep the rabbit. There was a scene in Alice in Wonderland where she shifts. She said, "This is my dream. I'll do whatever I want." So we have that power to go as deep as we can and say, you know what, I'm going to stop here.
Are you into metaphysics and self-actualization and things like that?
In things of like awakening, spirituality,
yeah, do you think it's real? Do you think you could, like, if you got sick, do you think if you put your mind to it, you could heal yourself?
I don't know. I stick within the parameters of things that I could articulate and I truly understand. Stuff like that. You see, things that I find vaguely inexplicable, I tend to stay away from. I would sit here with you and discuss sound all day, or how to write or compose music, what is octave, what is unison. But in terms of a person's ability to heal themselves with an actual, what's the word? Chronic? What's the word? Illness? I don't know. These are things I don't know. There's things I know that's actually practical. I could compose a song, I could write a song, I could break it down and explain how music works.
But you hear all the time about people, oh, the doctor gave them 3 months to live and here they're still alive.
Yeah, but it's subjective. There's no way to objectively quantify these experiences other than a person's subjective experience.
But you can, I mean...
You can validate it and you cannot invalidate it. From my frame of reference, I am in a paradoxical scenario. I can't validate or invalidate it. I have to look at it from an indifference perspective. You see? And these sort of area I find vaguely inexplicable, and I kind of focus in areas that have sort of practical application, that have some sort of practical implication. But I could build an algorithm and say, hey, Google, here's the flow with the engines. This is how we can augment the algorithm and make it more efficiency, how we could modify it, make it more effective and more efficient in that area.
So are you interested in anything that is not, like, just for fun? Do you have like any like hobbies like that are not like articulate, like you don't have to like think about, well, these are the different parts, these are the different problems with it? Is there anything you like, just like, you're flying a kite? Like anything?
What you mean,
the wind is going.
Is that a euphemism? So what do you do that's just normal?
Yeah, well, no, I'm just saying, is that where your main interests are? Is this?
No, I find meditation to be a fascinating cognitive and neurological phenomenon. Especially how we have 5 brainwaves, well, specifically 4. We have alpha, beta, delta, theta or theta, and gamma. And during meditation, based on your emotional state, specific brainwaves are induced. And there's different sorts of meditation I find intriguing. Now, meditation is sort of, the experience is sort of ambiguous because it can be induced. You could lay down, you could sit up, you could casual walk. I could take a prowl down here and meditate. And there's different kinds. You have mindless, you have mindfulness, you have meditation with intent. So you have all these different sorts of meditation. And what I find intriguing is the correlation between brainwaves and certain types of meditation and how it affects your state of mind, how it influences your heightened sense of awareness, and just what it does for your overall physiology and psychological state as a human being. So what do I do when I'm not doing anything at all? Just enjoying the deep-seated fascination of meditation, enjoying lucidity. There's something called hypnagogia or hypnagogic meditation, hypnagogic hallucination, which is a sort of hallucination that is induced between sleep and wake.
Yeah.
So you're exhausted and you're drowsy and then you phase into this sort of hallucination where you hear and you see stuff that isn't actually there. And then you have hypnopompic. Hypnopompic hallucination is where you experience the same phenomenon, but from a wakened state. So one is when you go in and one is when you exit. I find these areas extraordinary because historically speaking, a number of our predecessors solved a lot of problems during hypnagogia, hallucination, and hypnagogic or hypnopompia hallucination during these states. So what occurs during these lucid states between the subconscious and the conscious allows these profound minds to solve complex problems. So that's what I do when I'm not doing anything at all.
You go inward.
I go inward. I explore that deep subconscious area.
There's a lot in there, don't you find?
Well, it's an enigma. It's an enigma. Lucidity is an intriguing, enigmatic phenomenon because you are aware. You're dreaming, but you are aware. But that awareness is to some degree. You can't be too aware because you're awake from the lucidity. You can only be aware that you are aware, but not that you are aware that you are dreaming. So there's a level of awareness, but it's still not a level of awareness that's required for you to awake from that lucidity. But if you become too aware, you awake from that lucidity. So meditation takes you into a place, an extraordinary place. It's almost as if you're in a completely different dimension.
When you meditate, do you find that time speeds up and slows down? Or can you just be like, I'm going to my subconscious for 15 minutes?
Yeah, a couple hours could actually last 15 minutes. There's a neurological disorder called the Alice in Wonderland Syndrome. I'm not even certain if I could articulate this the right way. Alice in Wonderland Syndrome is basically where all external objects, so your surrounding, just either contracts or expand. Right, this phenomenon was far more prevalent during adolescence. You probably experienced it as a child as well. When you become ill during any sort of flu, right, this sort of neurological phenomenon is induced. Right, now there's a correlation between that and meditation because many times during mindfulness meditation, which I'll explain in a few minutes, you go into this phase where you experience a sort of your surroundings either contract inwards or it expand outwards. The difference between that experience during meditation and the Alice in Wonderland syndrome is your eyes are closed. Because your eyes are closed, you experience the same expansion and contraction. But if your eyes was open, you will have the visual experience. So here's a prime example of a neurological disorder that is actually induced during mindfulness meditation. Now, mindfulness meditation is a fascinating phenomenon because what mindfulness meditation does is the objective is centered around stilling the mind in the moment. Now, what you will experience, you've ever meditated?
No.
What you will experience during meditation is what you want is irrelevant to what your mind does. Your mind has a mind of its own. Right, so sort of, that's kind of like a weird joke. Your mind has a mind of its own. So during mindfulness meditation, you go into this state where the objective is primarily centered around one key factor, to still the mind. Just still the mind, still the mind, still the mind in the moment. So when you awake from that meditation, what you'll find happening with time is your sense of awareness becomes heightened. And once your sense of awareness becomes heightened, you are more prone. Like I mentioned in my lecture, patterns in nature are undetectable to the unimpaired and uninitiated. So during meditation with this mindfulness, what occurs with time is your sense of awareness becomes heightened. And patterns in nature become far more salient or far more conspicuous to be because your awareness is heightened. So that's what I do when I'm not doing anything at all. I think it's one of those places where I go to where I ground myself. And during mindfulness meditation, not just mindfulness meditation, meditation as a whole, your brain goes into two key areas. Delta brain waves is when you are in your most relaxed state, when you're either in a deep sleep or lucidity. Right? Delta, theta or theta, is also the equivalent of that, but you're between a deep sleep and awake. There's a phase between when you're in a deep sleep and when you are up and consciously awake. There's a phase between that where you experience the theta or theta brainwave. Alpha brainwave is when you're up, and you're active, but you remove from stress, anxiety, and you just sort of void of any experiences that affects your natural state of mind. And so what meditation does is it sort of induces that alpha state where you're in peace, where you experience peace, serenity, and you kind of remove from social anxiety. Beta is sort of like the brain oscillation that the masses kind of navigate on. Where you deal with all the banal, trivial, pseudo experiences of life.
Then could you meditate yourself into being very like active? Like instead of being like meditating into having like the calm kind of brain waves? Does it work the other way?
It's sort of subjective. You determine what you would like to experience. My whole objective behind meditation is just to relax my mind and put myself in a state of complete serenity. Right, there was a scene in X-Men. You watch the X-Men prequel?
No.
There's a scene where the young Xavier and the young Magneto tried to move this gigantic silver satellite dish. And there was a scene where he tried to turn the satellite with rage. And the young Xavier, Professor Xavier, used telepathy to read his mind and pointed out a deep-seated philosophy that precedes back, Eastern philosophy actually, that precedes back to Buddhism and I believe Taoism, which is real power is finding a balance between rage and serenity. A sort of equilibrium, right? There's a sort of emotional disparity. You have to find that sort of equilibrium is where true power lies. That's a perfect embodiment of the alpha brain state because the alpha brain, you have alpha, beta, delta, theta, and gamma. Alpha brain state is sort of like that equilibrium. You have delta, the lowest, you have theta, which is a couple oscillation above, then you have alpha, which is in the middle, then you have beta, and you have gamma. So like that's sort of like a brain equilibrium.
You want to be in the alpha.
Right, I mean,
but I might prefer gamma.
Well, gamma is basically the highest cognitive where your brain is functioning on a very high level. Like
so it must be a gamma then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you're most likely a genius. Yeah. What do you think, what's his name? Xavier did. When Xavier went into this, what's his place was called Xavier? When he went into this just room where he sort of used telepathy to find X-Men across the world. That's a metaphor for meditation, actually.
Okay. Do you think that there are metaphors about the key to how to live life and about the universe hidden within popular culture? Like, do you think that the X-Men, for example, contained like hidden messages about telepathy, or that Jurassic Park is really about, not being able to control your emotions or your libido or whatever? You do?
Yeah, X-Men is one of those movies that truly embodies a number. There's a psychological scene with Mystique where she and Wolverine got into this huge rivalry. And there was a scene where she was told that, or she accepted the fact that we must accept the fact that we are different and embrace ourselves with conviction. When you look at Xavier and Magneto, you see a sort of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X philosophy, where Xavier believes that humans and mutants can live in harmony, while Magneto believes in complete human obliteration. I mean, I'm for the latter. I truly admire Magneto's philosophy. I don't believe that humans and mutants can live in harmony. Why try to protect the people whose objective is centered around obliterating you as a species? And we have those. We have high-functioning autism. We have savants, where they flew the African-American over London, and he had a photographic memory. He could actually visually regurgitate everything he saw, right? Image for image, right? I mean, down to mathematical equation. So we do have X-Men in real life.
And you think they should obliterate the humans?
No. I would like to retract that statement. This is just a joke.
Okay.
But my point is, it's two contrasting philosophical ideologies.
You side with the mutants.
I'm indifferent. But I understand where Magneto comes from. I understand where They both have different upbringings. Right? Magneto watched his mom assassinated. Xavier didn't. Xavier had a completely different luxury. So their philosophy derives from their childhood experiences. Their adolescence precedes philosophical ideology.
What do you make of all these celebrity deaths happening this year?
I'm indifferent.
But do you think that there's more than normal?
Some sort of consensus is required to really determine if this is an exception. If 2006 is an exception to the rule.
I certainly feel like I'm hearing about celebrity deaths a lot more.
Well, maybe it could be because we have a platform now that sort of makes this information far more available than before. Before you'd have to buy a newspaper. I mean, so there's a lot of things that exist, but social media brings those experiences gives us a sort of closeness to it. That's why I always say technology, one of the paradoxes with technology is we're communicating a lot more, but we're interacting a lot less. More communication, less interaction.
Do you think that the heightened amount of communication has benefits, though?
I'm indifferent.
Over interaction?
I'm indifferent. I've never had a deep infatuation for the human experience itself. So less communication, more communication, less interaction. I'm introverted. I'm an introvert. And high functioning autism. So
you got that
people is something that
you got that yin yang thing going too. That
yeah,
paradigm.
I know people's
Paradox.
Yeah, I don't have much of. I would much rather study light.
Lights?
Yeah, I must study light. Like light, the electromagnetic spectrum, wave particle duality, right? Why electricity and magnetism works in harmony. That's more intriguing than my friend calling me up and say, "Hey, let's meet up and hang out." That's not interesting to me at all. So I think we all are wired.
And yet, you are always trying to come on this show, go down to Drum Box. So you do like some kind of interaction.
Well, yeah, this platform allows me to put my ideas out there. So it has done a lot for me. Again, thank you to Nolan Silverstein and the Drum Box platform for giving me such an immaculate opportunity once again.
Yeah, we're hitting some good, some deep subconscious stuff.
Some interesting stuff. Yeah.
Do you put any value in like how people say, "Oh, the new year is coming, got to make resolutions. It's going to be a different paradigm." So you don't think paradigm shifts occur over time?
I look at shift that occurs in nature. Like one is the Schumann's Resonance. The Schumann's Resonance is the Earth's electromagnetic pulse, or Earth's electromagnetic field. It's like a trapped electromagnetic radiation that exists between the Earth's cavity and expands at least 300 to 500 or more miles altitude towards the Earth's ionosphere. Now, this gets charged when struck by lightning. I find that intriguing because that sort of radiation oscillates around 7-point-something hertz, which is the equivalent of our alpha brain state, right? So when we talk about shift, not a person's view of the new year, I just have no interest in that. I have interest in like stuff like the electromagnetic pulse of the Earth and how it affects.
Whether you have interest or not, do you acknowledge that it's a real thing?
What's that?
People have a perception that things are going to change, whether they are or not, and then that can lead to real things happening in the real world, real actual physical changes.
Yeah, but right. I mean, there's things that we could look at things objectively, not objectively. We could look at things from a optimistic standpoint or a pessimistic standpoint. We could look at the world in a disparaging way. Am I done?
No, we got 10 more minutes.
Huh?
So we got 10 more minutes. See, you're just about to give the meaning of life.
I apologize.
Distracted.
I got distracted, so continue. Yeah, so what was I saying?
You were saying you could look at things pessimistically.
Yeah, you could be a pessimist, you could be an optimist. We could look at what's going on in the world, the president, New World Order, Illuminati, or we could look at some of the profound discoveries made in science. I mean, these are they both coexist. So you determine your experience. I mean, this is why I really like certain ideas, philosophical ideas like solipsism, intersubjectivity, phenomenology, epistemology, metaphysics, and specifically parapsychology. I find these areas truly extraordinary. These are just areas I explore for fun, you know. These are not my area. My area is physics, linguistics, music. These are everything we've discussed on this show is areas I explore for fun. These are not areas I am an expert in at all. Not my expertise at all.
Sometimes, though, I find by not being an expert, you can actually know more about a subject because you're going off your gut or just what your immediate perception of a situation is or a phenomenon is.
Mm-hmm. No, not knowing about not being an expert at a subject doesn't mean that you know more. What it means that your sense of naivety allows you to be more intuitive and takes more chances. And this is far more applicable in terms of entrepreneurship, where you find this philosophy far more prevalent. But a person cannot not be an expert on grammar and know more about grammar than someone who is an expert on grammar or
but
phonology. They could only apply a sort of intuitive, naive approach to the area.
Non-expert on grammar could be a better communicator of ideas and getting their point across.
Right.
And isn't that the goal of the grammar in the first place?
No, grammar has no relationship to do with getting an idea or point across. What we have into discussion, when we discuss in here, grammar and punctuation, and what we're discussing is human communication. Right?
But the grammar is made to serve the communication, to facilitate it.
Right. Grammar is more basically the theoretical aspect of how syntax work.
Yeah.
Right. Someone who doesn't have that knowledge. This is not an easy question to answer. It's the equivalent of asking someone who doesn't understand the theoretical aspect of music, do they have the capability to write and compose and arrange music? Yes, they do. But someone with a theoretical understanding of music, it gives them more leverage, it gives them more advantage as a musician. And a person who doesn't, it could sort of deprive him at some given point.
Well, music is a good example of that, because you could be like a prodigy and you could just intuitively write a piece with key changes and all this stuff like that. It just kind of points you the right way. And then the theorist comes and puts a name on all that stuff.
Yeah, but most musicians do have a theoretical understanding of how music works. I, as a musician, I became aware of that by when you watch guys like B.B. King, Jimi Hendrix, and all these profound musicians, you realize that they do have a theoretical understanding of what they do. Maybe not that in-depth, but they do know music. Right. I think the big disparity from a musical perspective is not really a musician's ability to have a theoretical understanding of music. The disparity here in music is between knowing music and reading sheet music. This is the biggest disparity. You have profound musicians, but they can't read sheet music. And you have musicians who can read sheet music, but they can't compose to save their life. Right, but the theoretical understanding of music spreads across the board with all profound musicians, period. I mean, the ability, the major, minor, diminished, augmented, suspended, stacked chords, the sus4, the sus2, the suspended third, or the how to construct a chord from the diatonic scales or the chromatic scales. I mean, most profound musicians know this stuff because it's a lot of jargon, it's a lot of verbosity, a big pretentious words. But it's very basic. It's very, very, very basic how to construct a C chord, a C major, a C minor. A C major is the first, the third, and the fifth. So you know music, right? And the first and the third minor and the fifth is the minor. And then you have the augmented, right? Augmented is a linguistically self-explanatory, where you raise the fifth. Then you have diminished, where you drop the fifth and you drop the fourth. Right, and then you have the sus4 where you raise the third up to the fourth note, and you have the sus2, right? So, I mean, this is very, 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 very basic stuff. The 1-4-5 progression prevalent in blues, the 1-5-6-4 prevalent in pop music. This is elementary, time signature, and so you don't have to know how to read sheet music to know this stuff. Right? I learned to read sheet music years after. So you don't need sheet. So this is the disparity in music. Right? Some can play and they can't read sheet music. But everyone knows music. Everyone knows how music. Look, you know how music works.
Everybody knows music. Atelston, we're almost out of time, but I would love if we could end on a joke. Do you have any jokes you could tell for us? I love your humor.
Okay, one joke.
Or two or three, whatever.
Huh?
Two or three, whatever.
Yeah.
Stage is yours.
Yeah. So, yeah. People voted for President Obama because they wanted to see a black president. People wanted to vote for Hillary Clinton because they wanted to see a woman as president. Me, I voted for Donald Trump because I wanted to see a comedian as president. Ew!
It's a little more political than your normal style.
Yes.
I like it. You know, you're growing,
Yes.
evolving. That's all what
Yeah.
life is about in the new year.
Yeah.
All that. Any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah. What do you say to put the camera on me?
Okay, some more jokes here.
What do you say to a black man in a suit? What do you say?
This is those are usually rhetorical questions, and you come up with that.
See, you're supposed to say yes.
Yeah.
What do you say to a black man in a suit?
Yes.
May the defendant please rise.
Yeah.
This is such an awkward joke and such an awkward moment now.
No, it was great. Yes. Atelston, thanks for coming on the show.
Did I disappoint you?
No, it was great. And I'm sure you will be back again. I can
look
almost
forward to
guarantee
it.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in this week, another week. This was actually the 98th episode
Happy 2017.
tonight. Yeah, happy 2017, last episode of the year. We've got another normal episode next week. And then January 11th is our big 100th episode, spectacular. A lot of your favorites will be back. None of these are confirmed, but Kenny Lyon, Eric Montoya, Dirk, Norm, Atelston, I'm hoping. Who knows who's going to show up? Inviting all 100 guests back, 99 guests. See who comes. I'm sure Bangin' and Scum Boys, a lot of folks will be there, so we hope you can tune in. But happy New Year. Until next time, this is Adam Papagan reminding you that there's a place you can go, and it's your mind. Good night.